Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Mariam binti Solikun, metric number 1191369. So today, I would like to present about my intensive academic writing with title Islamic Dakwah in Developed Areas, the issue, challenge and problem in Kampung Orang Asli Batu 16 Gombak. First of all, I would like to thanks to Dr. Mashita binti Sulaiman for all your effort to teach, guide and sharing knowledge with me and my friend on the subject of methodology of Islamic studies. Islamic Dawah, according to Abdul Karim Zaidan, Dawah is a call to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dawah is an activity that invite and call people to believe and obey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in accordance with the line of Aqidah, Sharia and Islamic moral. The main purpose of Dawah is to create happiness and well-being in this world and in the hereafter, which is pleasing to Allah. Prophet Muhammad SAW has shown an example of doing Dawah to his people in various ways through oral and written and deeds. Began to preach to his wife, family and friend until the kings in power at the time. Dawah also aimed to provide guidance to human beings to lead to safety and prosperity in this world and the hereafter. Here I want to share my problem statement. The first one is they have a low level of thinking and illiterate due to lack of formal education, especially for the elderly. This situation caused them to think less and make it difficult for them to understand what is conveyed by the preacher. Preaching to the Orang Asli community is not easy as preaching to other races who have a high level of thinking. The situation makes it difficult for the message of Dawah for reach them. Next is the living standard and poverty of the Orang Asli are also a challenge in conveying the message to them. The Orang Asli community is indeed depend on earning a living from natural resource. It is a situation that causes them not to be in the village much. Instead, they go into the forest for a long time. There are still Orang Asli communities who consider that Islamic team program organized are intent to force them to embrace Islam. And the last one is the Orang Asli community is more comfortable living in the way they are still strong is in the teachings of their ancestors. Of course, it is difficult for effort Dawah to be carried out on them. If viewed from the point of attitude, they have a natural attitude towards the learning process that is easily tired and bored and low self-esteem such as shy and easy to fail. Next is research question. First is what is the historical background of indigenous villages Gombak? Second is what are the challenges faced by the preachers in spreading Dawah in developed areas, especially in Kampung Orang Asli Gombak? And third is what is the need to improve the quality of the indigenous Muslim? Alright, next is research objective. Based on the problem state, the objective of this study is, first one is to investigate the historical background of indigenous villages Gombak. Second is to identify the challenge faced by the preacher in a developed area, especially in Kampung Orang Asli Gombak. Third is to elaborate the need to improve the quality of life of indigenous Muslims. Next is research methodology. This study using qualitative research method through document research instrument. The study was collected via library research and interview methods. And the sampling of this study is one of the preachers who worked as a mobilizer of the original community. Alright, next we go through chapter by chapter. Chapter 2 is about the historical background of indigenous villages Gombak. First is analysis of village. Kampung Orang Asli Batu 16 is located in Gombak, Selangor, which consists of 63 villages. Only a minority of the Orang Asli community there are Muslim, which is the number of Muslim in this village are 26 villagers, including adults and children. The rest of them are non-Muslim, where some are Christian and believe in their folk religion, while the other balance of them have no religion as well as belief. Some of the villagers live in a self-made house that was made out of bamboo and woods, while few of them live in a stone house. Alright, next is chapter 3. Chapter 3 is the challenge faced by the preachers in developed area in Kampung Orang Asli Batu 16 Gombak. 3.1. The acceptance of Orang Asli community towards Islamic Dawah. Among the factors that contribute toward that are economic factor. According to Abdullah Muhammad Zain, 1996, it is a big problem that hinder the Islamic Dawah movement among the Orang Asli. This factor is compounded by the attitude of those who are in debt to the Chinese who run business and are influenced by life of those who like to gamble. The low educational factor also contribute to their acceptance of Dawah Islamiyah, and this low standard of education affect their attitude to think rationally and accept something new. Next is the attitude of the indigenous people toward the teaching of Islam. The Orang Asli still have a negative attitude toward the teaching of Islam. This situation is due to low education background, which is their minds are not open to current development and do not exposure to Islam. They are still reminded and influenced by Tok Batin's view on the bitter history experienced by the grandmother, their ancestor, about the misconduct of the Malay against them. In addition, there are several other factors that also contribute to their attitude toward Islam, which is, first is, hold fast to the teaching of a central belief. Second one is freedom in life. And the last one is disappointment with the Malay community. It's chapter 4. It's about the need to improve the quality of life of indigenous Muslims. Indigenous Muslims need to improve their quality of life in social, educational, and economic aspects. Improving the quality of life in this aspect will have an impact and influence on the religious life of the Orang Asli. The following initiative can be done in realizing the goals of an Islamic and other indigenous Muslim community. First one is train competent and committed preachers. Preachers must be among the indigenous ethnic group themselves in order to facilitate the achievement of the goals of forming an ideal indigenous Muslim community. Next is produce a comprehensive module of understanding and appreciation of Islam in accordance with the level of thought, life, reality, and background of the indigenous people. Until now, there is still no special Islamic charity module to guide indigenous Muslims. Next is provide training and awareness to all levels of Muslim community about the responsibility of guiding the indigenous Muslim community in accordance with the ideas of the Quran. In conclusion, the challenge in preaching to form a society based on the command of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is not easy endeavor. In fact, the preacher must be prepared to face all these challenges. This challenge will definitely increase the strength of the preachers in carrying out activities in the future. This study was done by collecting data and analyzing the challenge of preaching to the da'wah to the Orang Asli community who do not accept Islamic preaching because of their religion and belief. This requires preachers to formulate strategy and a more effective da'wah approach to them. This requires the support and assistance of the authorities who have an interest in the Aboriginal population. By diversifying programs of a community nature, or da'wah bil hal can attract their interest to Islam. That's all from me. Thank you.